So, but in foreign investors, like a US investor,
Correct.
for example, he's willing to take some of these risks. He's willing to maybe let some of these things be not as perfect just because he has more money and has a higher risk
Correct.
tolerance. So tell me, someone in my situation, could I maybe I should target foreign investors more, or and what are the challenges with that if I'm incorporated in India and the people, staff, etc. in India? Would that make foreign investors less enthusiastic, or will they run into red tape via the RBI, all that stuff?
So, so generally speaking, I always ask founders, to see where your real market is. What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build for completely India? Or are you trying to build for the world? And is this scalable in multiple countries? Because, and where your network also sits. I have also seen successful founders from Bangalore, Hyderabad, who have raised money abroad. Okay, but they had relationships in US already, which they leveraged on. It's otherwise very difficult to randomly go
Right.
in a place where you have no network and expect them to invest in another country. Secondly, the idea has to be beyond just good enough. Very often, we are disguising average or below average ideas and startups and seeking funding. Funding is available even in India.
Yes.
There's a lot of money available in India.
Yes.
But at a particular stage, for a particular quality of idea, um, and we have to sit down and understand why that perspective is different. Because if in the long run this is the market you're trying to operate in, you can't get around it. You might do one round race somewhere, but if you still need to operate in India, but there is no harm in giving international.
Have you're personally, because you're around so many investors and whatnot, have you dealt with foreign investors?
I have not dealt with foreign investors personally beyond UAE right now,
Okay.
beyond UAE and Singapore. But at the same time, a lot of our startups who are our clients or who are in our portfolio have raised successful rounds internationally. Also, had to do lot with that they had traction.
Right.
They had relationships in those cities and in those countries. They had spent half a decade, just like yourself. You spent like a huge amount of time in US.
Right. Well,
And
I don't have investor connections. I have different connections, but yeah, I do have
if you start
good amount
digging
of
into your connection of a connection degree,
Yes.
maybe you'll
I have a
meet
few,
four
yeah.
people that
Yeah. Yeah.
were known to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and also I have generally noticed that a lot of ideas in India remain on paper or at very early stage. We don't just keep building. I've noticed a lot of international companies, they just keep building and they're like, your self confidence is like keep building, something will happen.
Yes.
Okay, I think that also a lot investors are seeing or looking for.
Or looking for you. They want that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens in India? They build and then they just stop, or
In India, we just keep talking about sometimes, not I'm not generalizing right now. Few times I see people just keep talking about an idea for months and years and wait for the right time to execute. Whereas what I noticed a lot when I was living abroad also, a lot of them were bigger on execution. Okay. They all feel my time is worth X amount of money.
yes.
So I need to build now, I need to build today. So execution focused founders even in India are doing very well. Whenever I hear people are in stealth mode in their startup and uh, you know saying that this is the greatest next idea in the world, for me it makes
Right.
it has no value.
Right.
Ideas are dimes a dozen. Every idea you can think of has already been thought of by somebody else somewhere in the world.
Right.
That's what how big our population is. Um, so it's all about who executes it and who owns it. Um, some of the biggest, best startups in the country, Flipkart, Ola, are technically not original ideas at all.
Right.
They were just very well executed in Indian diaspora and
Suited for the
ecosystem.
Indian customer.
Correct.
Yeah. For foreign investors, how much of a hassle is it to get past the Indian rules, regulations, red tape, RBI rules, all that?
So
Is it
very often I have noticed two ways of investments when foreign investors are investing. I think they expect you to have an incorporation of a company in US, if you're US or if Singapore, and then they invest in the Singapore entity.
okay?
Because see, they don't want to come to your jurisdiction in Indian laws
Uh,
and then not be able to get their money back or sue you in Indian ecosystem.
right.
And it's not a big deal. It takes you a week perhaps today to open up a new company in Singapore or US.
Yes, but then the problem also is you got to shift the balance sheet, sort of. Like let's say I'm showing.
So
certain-
if you're already planning to go beyond India to raise capital,
Huh.
I think those compliances are just something you should take as part of the stride.
Okay.
Any which ways, I've just found
Because-
compliances in each of the
Right.
countries is just easier than India.
Yes. No, what I meant was it's not just that you open the company and you're good to go. You got to shift IP transfer, this, that, and then funding. The money has to
Correct.
circulate.
So, but very often you think from a safety perspective from capital. If they will not invest within their own jurisdiction with you being accountable there, why would somebody invest in a foreign country with such difficult laws? And I don't blame Indian government for having difficult laws, because we also misuse Indian laws to the max possible. Okay, there's a cat and mouse going on with us and every department in the country. We'll exploit every loophole given to us because we are smart like that. Correct. So the Indian government, to counteract that, keeps building laws on top of laws, and that's why processes are much more complicated. GST is complicated because we have misused VAT where we could. And whereas similar goods or service tax or value added tax related laws in every country in the world is relaxed, because the misuse is also less. And so it's difficult from RBI and FEMA and other compliances to bring money to India. There's a lot of regulation in place. No major firm in US would want to come here for a small early stage investment. Okay, let's assume if it was you are at a later stage of Series C, Series.
Or like
D.
how I think Walmart actually invested
Correct.
a large amount.
Yeah, it was
but it was
over
very
what-
big.
I think it was over 40,000 crores or something like that.
But Flipkart was very, very big and successful.
Correct. So for that, you will go through every legal requirement possible. But let's assume you're raising 4 crores,
Right.
$500,000 or $1 million,
Right.
$2 million, say max. For $2 million to go through international compliances for a foreign firm,
Right.
they might not want to do it.
Right. It's
That's
not
where they might
effective for
expect
them,
you
yeah.
that for a long-term perspective.
So how about we go a little bit into what a startup should be that would make it attractive to investors. Now, some obvious stuff obviously is there, an idea that caters to, solves a problem, a pain point, a proper execution, team, etc., etc. But being that you're so involved in this entire ecosystem, what can you give us beside the superficial stuff that pretty much everyone knows?
I think at the early stage perspective, investors are investing more into the founder than the
Okay.
idea itself.
Okay.
When I say into the founder, doesn't mean they just like the founder and they're investing. It's also backed with some results that they're able to put on the table. I would say I've seen a lot of different types of startups do well. Find out which industries have margins. So a lot of industries at times are very over cluttered in India, have relatively lesser margins, or have a negative viewpoint out there in the market at the moment. Like, it's very difficult to raise money for food tech, or if you're doing a cloud kitchen here, if you're doing edtech right now, because these are industries which have not done well after several investments for last 4 years, 6 years. Uh, you saw the boom in edtech and you've seen the downfall in edtech recently.
Right.
So imagine you trying a content heavy edtech trying to raise funds.
Right.
You'd obviously be turned down. If you are another company trying to make drones again, you're not solving a new problem. It is already being solved by quite a few very, very, very good companies. So really, no, is your innovation? We claim it to be innovation while there are 25 other players with a 2-year head start over us, when it is not. Similar way, we do not have EV infrastructure in the country.
Right.
If we compare it remotely to many others. But every second person at the moment
Really.
you would see would be making an EV startup.
Really. Okay.
And there is no background to it. There's no real problem solving you're doing if you're gonna just make another 2-wheeler and 3-wheeler EV company.
Right.
And imagine Mahindra and Bajaj sit down to launch their 3-wheeler EVs.
Right.
How do you even compete there?
Right. Because
So, again, within that, if you were developing a software for EV vehicles, or you were developing charging stations, or infrastructure, or, drone tech instead of just the drones itself.
right.
Let's assume you were making the landing gear for drones, that a drone can come in, land on a particular device. That device itself checks what's wrong and right with the drone. Okay, charges the drone so that it's truly unmanned. You're not catching hold of the drone and taking it and servicing it yourself.
Right.
Okay, and tracking every parameters. Now that tech, which already has an existing industry, can work.
Right.
Instead of a typical content heavy ed tech, if you were making technology for the ed tech itself, that enables other edtechs to do their functions better,
Right.
which are already existing. If you're doing edtech which assists schools to unlock more value from where they are, probably they have more scope.
Right.
Food tech, again, instead of doing a typical, I want to do another food delivery app,
Right.
or I want to open another cloud kitchen. If you were making companies which assist the existing restaurants and cloud kitchens and existing food tech, okay, a company, let's assume they are tech heavy and they assist streamlining the driver delivery side of things. Wouldn't Zomato want to take your services?
Right.
Wouldn't Zepto want to take your services? So we are just also running behind already existing ideas and already existing things others are doing, which are not true innovative startups.
Yes. Yes. So that's in the idea category. How about what VCs and even angels are looking for in execution, in sort of your stage in the market? How many users you have, for example? Obviously, positive EBITDA is always a good thing.
Yeah.
So how about on all those categories?
So all those categories, I always say that it's easier for you to fundraise after 50 lakhs of revenue at least. Okay. Anytime per year. Okay.
So
with the bigger
for-
VCs, it
for-
will go to 50 lakh, 1 crore per month,
Right.
which is called your annual monthly
But that's a
recurring revenue.
later stage investment.
Yeah.
But you want like 4 lakhs a month, 4-5 lakhs a month you need to
4-5 lakhs a month, because what 50 lakhs revenue or 1 crore revenue does for your company.
Huh.
It proves to me as an investor, or proves to many others as an investor, that that there are customers to this product.
Huh.
Those customers are willing to pay. You're able to service them. You're able to hold them. You're able to get new ones also. You're able to work with your co-founders. You're able to resolve the issues with each other. Fight on Monday and sit together and work on Tuesdays.
Right.
You can keep your egos aside. I built the company. You are able to recruit people. You're able to, build their loyalty for the company. You're able to compensate them. You're able to have them part of the vision that they are executing also for you. So that to achieve that much amount of revenue, indirectly you have built a very strong foundation as a founder. Okay, you have learned how all 5, 6, 8 departments of your company work. So after that, to do a pre-series A level funding, it's much easier. Now what's happened in Indian context, we call this also seed stage sometimes. Okay, I feel the definition of pre-seed, seed, pre-series A, which is an Indian term, or series A, has become skewed because there's no formal definition of it. So what I might call as a pre-series A investment, I think is being used as pre-seed and seed in Indian context. And I don't personally understand how could a company be in 3 crore revenue and you call it pre-seed and seed funding. I mean, just the very term itself, pre-seed, should be idea stage or early MVP stage. The seed stage should not be at revenue stage. But yeah, I think these are subjective.
Startup founders profiles and all of that. How much do people sort of do background check and all of that and look at the founders and all
I
of
think
that?
it's very important because a lot of founders are trying to build things they are not capable of.
Right.
As much as I do believe that they might build it. Okay. Any investor wants to see, but what's your track record? If you are a non-engineering background person, say you're from arts background,
Right.
and you talk about robotics and you want to build the biggest robotics company, then I think majority investors, when they say they wanted to first prove and build it,
Right.
then they'll invest in you, is fair. But if you are a robotics engineer, you've worked in robotics company for a decade,
Huh.
you've built
Right.
teams, implemented projects. Now at mid 30s, you're
Right.
starting your own robotics firm.
That makes sense.
Then it gets backed by the investors.
Right.
I have, funnily enough, met surgeons, okay, MD doctors, who were running website building startups. I've met cancer research specialists who were running cafes and wanted to be like Samosa Singh. Okay. I mean, the investor will be skeptical because you don't have the domain expertise also.
Right.
Okay,
So-
I also did not have it. Just to give you a background, when I started restaurants and bar, so I lost money,
Right.
but I lost my own money.
Right.
Okay, it's like I paid my own school fees
Right.
to enter new industries, learn the new industries, and then I became an expert in that field also.
So what can someone who doesn't have previous startup experience but has the domain background, that's pretty much me, is there anything I can do for that in that situation to make investors feel better about me?
See, so it comes back on the ground. How good is your idea, execution, and everything?
Okay.
Correct. If you're able to execute relentlessly
Right.
and be in the networks. So I keep telling, firstly, as you mentioned, Global Startups Club, we are one of the largest founders and investors, ecosystem, networking, community, whatever you want to call it. So we believe in the power of community. We believe in the power of networking.
Yes.
If you will not go out there, put your brand out there, meet investors, meet other founders, they would never know about you.
Right.
Okay.
In previous podcasts I've done, I spoke with other investors. They were investors themselves, and they said, date investors. So, you have like the first date, but that doesn't mean very much of anything.
Correct.
You just have first date, second date, third date, and keep at
Yeah,
it
it's
that
like
way.
investing in a company or getting investors is like getting a spouse, right? Nobody gets married just randomly anymore.
Right.
They want to be absolutely vetting you, making sure you're the right person to give money to. The process is at least 2-3 months long, if not more.
Yeah.
It can go up to 5 to 6 months from the
Right.
day you start searching. After somebody is interested in you to invest in your company, it still takes 2 to 3 months.
Right.
The check doesn't come in few hours.
Yes.
There's due diligences. There's founder's background check. There's understanding whether you as a founder and me as an investor, or me as a founder and somebody else as an investor, do we get along?
Absolutely.
Okay, is there a value system match? Is the founder coachable? Because a founder might come to me only for the money.
Right.
But when I will redirect him saying, hey, you know what? This has not worked in many other companies in our portfolio.
Right.
The founder needs to also be nice enough to look at mentorship, to look at broader ecosystem of the investor, and not just be like, you give me my 5 crore check and don't talk.
And go away.
That doesn't happen.
Yes.
So a lot of investors are also looking for coachable founders.
Yes.
That do we get along with the founders or not?
Okay.
You might be ultra brilliant. You
Right.
might be very smart founder, very great idea. But if you will talk down to people you are asking money from,
Yes.
why should they also talk
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
nicely to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nobody is desperate. Investors also have hundreds of startups on their table
Yeah.
to look from.
Oh, yeah. There's so many startups happening in India. Wherever I look, there's a startup, and a lot of them are quite good ideas also.
Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing the ecosystem of startups in India. It's quite amazing. I
There's-
think it rivals anything in the world right now.
There are equal good ideas to bad ideas.
Right.
Matlab, don't think that I am just saying that there were below average startups in India. There are also exceptional startups in India.
Right.
Ideas that I have not seen others anywhere in the world work on. Plus, they are not coming just from Mumbai and Bangalore. They're
Right.
coming from tier 2 cities now.
Right.
They're coming from all over the country. They're coming from people you would not expect.
Right.
And they are relentlessly working and growing. And one of the best startups I came across recently was based out of Nasik. Okay. And very, very, very good ideas. And those people have investors lining on early stage itself.
Yes.
Okay. Because they're able to demonstrate great performance and idea.
Right. I have an interesting question. You've seen so many startups, ideas, and at various stages. What in India? What is the type of startup that's the most and by that I mean technology startups or ed tech startups or food delivery startups, so that kind of in those genres.
So,
Which
I
genre
think
is
India, every field, everybody's making something. You
Okay.
can't even typecast one industry.
okay?
The challenge is deep tech startups are limited in India.
Okay. What's an
Okay.
example of a deep tech?
Deep tech is for years you're just like OpenAI.
Right.
OpenAI was one of the biggest deep tech startups, right? For years you were just machine learning.
It was just being developed
Okay.
basically.
It was just being developed. And so deep tech startups, because there's no patient capital in India.
Right. Yes.
Okay, you
I've
need
run into
patient
that. Yes.
capital.
Patient capital. Yes.
And that's what deep tech requires.
Yes.
And I think that is missing because of our ecosystem
Again,
barrier.
the whole economy.
But
and
there
all
are deep tech venture capital funds.
that. Okay.
Okay, you have to just search for them properly. You have to see what they are looking for, etc., etc. So that is slightly missing, and because of that, because of the pressure on executing right away and showing
Right.
performance,
That's the struggle.
there's
with
a
India.
lot of surface level tech
Yes.
again.
And that may or may not succeed because
That
it's
may or
surface
may not
level.
succeed with surface level.
Because
again.
it's surface level. Right.
We were
Kind of a
discussing.
catch-22.
It's a loop.
Yeah.
We were discussing the AI buzzword and the AI boom, right? There's an AI everywhere. But then there is machine learning AI companies who are developing true AI capabilities. I'll give you an example. 2 examples that come to my proper machine learning AI categories is, let's assume healthcare, you're making a diagnostic AI company. You are trying to just take 5 lakh scans of chest of
Right.
people and putting that data interpreted by doctors into the software. So now after 5 lakh scans, the software will start learning
Yes.
of how to detect the anomaly.
Yes.
Correct. That is, you're giving machine learning time.
Yeah.
Correct. So that now in future, now when you put that scan into that software, the software at a 99.5% accuracy will already detect everything for you.
Yeah.
So you develop that capability. Okay. Similarly on AI, couple of our clients, portfolio companies. Example one is iRobotics. iRobotics is working on kind of glasses for blind people. So via camera and other technology, they're able to understand there's a pillar here, there's a light stand, there's a sofa, there's a person, and that keeps upgrading on the software side of it.
Nice. Nice.
So now that blind person can hear it in their ear while walking around, while they
Beautiful. Yeah. That's
okay. So that is now developing real tech.
okay.
Whereas a lot of AI companies in India are wrappers, AI wrapper. Basically, what is an AI wrapper? You're taking an API from ChatGPT or 20 other
and just building something on
and
top
just
of
building on top of it, just giving the data and the info
Right.
and showing the image actually built by somebody else.
Right.
So if you're an AI wrapper, nobody will give you money because it's not your real tech.
Right.
It solves your problem.
Yeah, but a
It's
very
showing
small
on the surface that you are the one doing things.
Right.
So,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just saying be true to yourself, whether it's you have built a real tech.
Right.
You have just built something that looks cool to others.
Right. We're getting close, running out of time here. Is there any final bit of advice you can give any startup founder or someone going to launch their startup about planning for funding and any advice,
Firstly,
any
I would
life advice
know-
even?
Yes. So firstly, I would say find out why you're starting up. Okay. Do not start up because you hate your boss. Do not start up because you have midlife crisis and now suddenly you want to prove something at 40 because you're like, what did I really do in life?
Yes.
Are you really passionate about this journey? Are you ready to walk through the coal
Yes.
for 3 years and 5 years and build on? Like, there are mad people. I'm a mad person is why I can build things.
Yes.
And every founder, every good founder has that. And
I think Steve Jobs said that too.
didn't really know that, but that's personal philosophy along that. That's what I believe in. So be very, very sure this is the journey you want to undertake. Be sure your journey is also slightly supported by the extended family and immediate family. Otherwise,
You definitely need support. Yeah. Emotional support, if nothing else.
correct, because you are disrupting all their lives.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and let's be honest, it's rude to do that to others.
Yes.
And then on top of it, if you have self-belief, idea, go build,
Yes.
go execute. Okay. If you keep doing it out there in the market, building, talking about what you have built, talking about your building abilities, execute properly, the world gets up to go out and help you. There's a lot of help available in India.
Yes. Okay.
Sometimes you don't seek help only.
Right. Or you
We
don't
think
know where to
somebody
go.
else will come and help.
Yeah.
There are so many people sometimes who ask me, Mohit, how do we get your number to reach out to you? My number is literally out there everywhere on the internet. If you just wanted to search it and give a call.
Right.
So there are, and it's not just me, leave me aside. There are bigger industry stalwarts with more experience than me. They're all approachable on LinkedIn. At least 1 out of 4 will respond to you.
Right.
So go out there. Firstly, know why you're building. Secondly, go build. Execute.
Okay.
I think that alone will eventually take you places.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mohit. I hope all you viewers enjoyed it. I know I got a lot of valuable information and insights from this. Mohit's information is going to be down there in the descriptions below. Also, comment below and let's start a lively discussion and conversation around this podcast. And thank you so much for joining us, Mohit, and see you all later next time.
Thank you, Vivek, for having me.